Hi everyone, this is Dalika. Today I will show you how to make injera sauce. So what I'm referring to injera sauce is a base to pretty much every dish that's served with injera. And uh, the main ingredient is onion and a whole lot of spice that goes with the onion. So today we will make the injera sauce, and we will also um, jar the sauce and preserve it for future use. And the reason I do that is making injera sauce is a lot of work, and if I can minimize it to making it twice a year, or 3 times a year, it's the better for me, because you don't want to spend too much time chopping onions for a meal. And once you preserve it into a jar like that, you can put it into your pantry for 3 months and then just add it in whenever you want to prepare an injera meal. Just to talk about the ingredients, onion is obviously the main ingredient, so that's what I'm displaying there. And also garlic, and I've got a head of garlic there. So 2 kilos of onion and a head of garlic displayed there. These are definitely, what makes Ethiopian and Eritrean injera sauce. So I've got the spices there. So that's Berbere. Now Berbere is Ethiopian and Eritrean chili. So it's not just chili, it has some flavoring in it. So usually it's imported, but if you don't have access to Berbere, you can use chili, just red chili that's available in the supermarket. Now what I'm displaying there is a mixture of everything I've got there. So if you don't want to have spices put in separately, you can just create your own jar, add them all together, and put them aside. So that's one option of making your life easy. But what I've got there shown at the moment is a condensed tomato paste. Now that's available in a tube or in a can in a supermarket. Bay leaf adds a nice flavor, so I tend to put it in. And we've got there, I believe, white pepper, black pepper, sage, and what's the last ingredient? I think it might be ginger. Yes, ginger. Now, those three flavoring goes with the onion, and they basically make a delicious sauce that can be preserved in a jar, put aside, and used only when required. All right, so now I've chopped the onions, so you can see the onions chopped and put in a saucepan. Now, and it's just a matter of adding the ingredients, including plant-based stock. So this is chicken flavored plant-based stock. So this saves you time from making your own stock. And today I've got a lot of work already, so making my own stock is not my biggest priority. But I'll put 2 cubes of this pre-made plant-based stocks, and I'll add my ingredients: ginger, white pepper, black pepper, and sage. So they should all make our injera sauce absolutely delicious. Um, and just putting the second stock now. I may not have mentioned, but I am cooking outside today in an open fire, because it's a lovely day. I do like cooking outside, but the weather doesn't always permit. So today, as you can see, it's nice and sunny, and I have some charcoal left over from an open fire we had the other night, so I'll just use those charcoals to cook outside. They say Okay, that's the mixture of spices that I'm showing you over there. Just to finish off what I was saying, they say food cooked in an open fire, especially on a clay pan, not this pan, but a clay-made pan, is a lot more delicious. So it looks like the mixture that I prepared previously also went on it, and the reason is it has Ethiopian basil in it. So now I haven't put any basil at this time, so instead I've put the other ingredient which will cover that requirement for the flavor of basil. So I'm just showing you my the fire going on at the moment. So it's just catching, it's not ready. As you can see, the smoke is going. So I'll get that started and get it all fired like that, and then it's ready to get my stove on it and start cooking. Yeah, so there goes the stove, and we are starting our onion simmering session, and I'm just putting in the barley leaves in there as we speak. How long would this take? Look, I don't spend a whole day just making injera sauce. I do other things in the meantime because I can just leave the onion and go and do something else. As you can see, my shoes, I'm painting somewhere else, so I've got a bit of a mess from the painting I'm doing. It's kind of, it doesn't have to consume your time completely. You can just put this on the stove to cook, and then you can go and get other things done at the same time. But of course, it needs you keeping an eye on it, and that's the reason I'm gonna recommend making a whole batch of it at one go and preserving it in a jar. And that way, you don't have to keep on making this. All right. We are now inside. You might have noticed I had to relocate. Run out of charcoal, so the cooking must continue inside. This is not part of the injera sauce recipe, but I just wanted to show you what I normally put into a stew. So if I make a stew to go with injera, I would use these vegetables to put into the injera sauce. So what you can see there is Brussels sprout, and this is not common where I came from, but it's the season, so I usually use whatever is in the season. If there is nothing in the season that I'm interested in, I buy frozen vegetable. The main thing is that I've got 5 vegetables into my stew, and you can see zucchini there, carrot, and I've got celery here. Now and also just under that you will see some broad beans. Now I use celery for flavoring. I don't count it into the 5 vegetables that I use. Now for protein, this is textured vegetable protein, TVP, that's available online if you can't find it in your local store. I am able to find it in my local stores, but if you're not, just Google TVP and you will be able to order it online. So I've got 5 veggies, and that normally 1 protein that normally goes into the injera sauce that we are preparing. And we are in progress. As you can see, the onion is nice and brown. The fluid has been absorbed, and we are ready to add oil. As you can see there, we're adding oil, and the celery and the chili and the tomato paste are what's left to add to complete our injera sauce. Um, so it smells amazing. So we definitely got that it smelled right. Here is the celery going in now. And yeah, so it's just a matter of completing all the ingredients. It's easier from here on. It's mainly preparing the onion that takes a bit of time and needs a bit of patience. But from this point onwards, it should be a straightforward process. That's the chili going in. So that's a fair bit of chili. You don't have to brave it and add that much. I add this because it's really the base sauce. I can always temper the chili when I prepare the food by adding either tomatoes or coconut milk. So I can kind of balance it out later, but this is the base, so I'm kind of generous with the amount of chili that I've put in. And here is the tomato paste. And again, it's your choice how much you put in, but the more you put is usually the less spicier it gets. So it just up to personal preference. So it's just a matter of letting this simmer and all right, so it looks like we are now ready. Our injera sauce is ready for canning. So I've got some jars ready to put the sauce in, and I've got that lid to tightly seal the sauce. And from here, we should be able to preserve it for longer than 3 months. And when you are cooking it, you don't have to use all of it. It depends on how big your family is. For us, just half the jar is usually sufficient for a dish that we make. Now I am using this funnel to minimize the mess, and I bought these in a canning kit. So I'm just looking at a cat here, so I've got cat in my mind. So yeah, these tools, if you are a canner if you preserve food, it's best to have the right tools to make your life easier. And this definitely minimizes the mess. And this tool that I'm showing shows you how much to fill the jar. And I also use the other side of these to take out the air in the sauce, so that not much air is trapped in the sauce when we are preserving it. So that just already lowers the sauce level because you're releasing some air. And from here, this one is ready to get the lid on and move to um, the next glass ware to fill with our sauce. So that one is ready for hot water bath, and we will, once we fill up all of the glasses, we will move back to the stove so that we can put all of the jars into hot water baths for preservation. All right, looks like we have managed to put enough injera sauce into a jar, and we still have some leftover sauce available, so we can use that to do our stew. So those veggies that I told you about earlier, they will now go into this leftover injera sauce. That's just to demonstrate how you use injera sauce to make a stew that goes with injera. So all my veggies I'm putting in at the same time. I know some of them take longer to cook than others, but in this case, we are not worried about that. We can just put all of them at the same time. And there goes the TVP that also cooks at the same time with everything else. Now the sauce is fairly thick, as you can see, so I will put a little bit of water and also coconut milk to just soften the heat. And back to the preservation. So here we've got 6 jars filled up with injera sauce, and I'm just showing you the tool I use. So this is a jar lifter. Now you should always use the proper tools to do preservation, because you're dealing with hot water, glass that could smash. So here is my hot water boiling, and on the base of the hot water I have put in a rack there, and that's to avoid the jar being placed directly onto the hot plate. So it's just one of the safety measures. You don't want your glass breaking, so just use the right tools. Now I don't have any contact with the hot water, so I've got this jar lifter, putting the jar into the saucepan, and boiling it is going to help us with the preservation. It's going to kill any bacteria that may make it go off and trap the food inside, free from contamination. And that's how we keep it for longer. So the preservation is now in the prepared jars are already in the hot water. I'll leave them there 10 minutes, and then I'll bring them out to cool down. So my saucepan comfortably takes 3 at a time. So those 3 are in progress of being seated in the bowls. So as you can see, they're not too much immersed, but I'm not too worried about that. Now we are nearly finished with this preparation of injera sauce and preservation project that we had started this video with. So hopefully this has given you some valuable information to use, especially if you have a busy life. The less activity you have in the kitchen on a daily basis is the better. while you still enjoy the food that you have enjoyed all your life. So just taking you back to the vegetable stew that I was making, this is now how it looks like. So it looks pretty much ready, and as you can see, it's not as red as the pasta sauce that we made because I have put coconut milk in it, so it looks delicious. So this is how you use your injera sauce as a base, but you know, when you do your finished product, you add your own things and make it your own dish to have with injera. And this is one of my favorite dishes, and I am ready to enjoy it with injera. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and it's time for me to say goodbye.